Have you ever stopped to think about that? That in the midst of the silence of the street, left in a life of helplessness, could be on the verge of being attacked by someone who no one would expect. Let's imagine a scenario in which the cold and the loneliness are able to work, and that space is empty. A newborn baby is left abandoned and completely vulnerable. It seems like a sad story, isn't it? But what happens next will challenge everything you know about courage, empathy, and the power of the one true instinct for self-protection. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out right now might surprise you and change their way of seeing the animals, and the hope is that they carry within themselves. Have you ever gone through a situation where something unexpected that has completely changed the Sabbath? Maybe it's an attitude, a gesture of kindness has made a difference in your life. Well, this is a story that is exactly like this. It shows an episode of The Real, which came from the surprising and exciting show that hope can come in the most unlikely places. The protagonist of this story, a dog in the street, it reveals a heart and a feeling that will touch your heart. It all starts with a piece of waste ground, a space, the forgotten, where no one goes, no one is looking, in a place that does not seem to offer nothing more than to drop in silence. But this morning, something is different, and called to the attention of the dog that passed that way. Without knowing exactly what it was, he felt a small movement, something that seemed out of the ordinary, and if you approach with caution, is your perception of it changed. For there, in the freezing cold, I was a newborn baby, completely helpless, abandoned, and vulnerable. The scene that might be sad or even hopeless, but the reaction of the dog is totally different than any one of us could ever imagine. Rather than running away or ignoring him, you lay down to sleep on the side of the child, as if it understood what he needed to protect her, to warm her up, give her some comfort at that moment so vulnerable. This attitude is a simple, but full of empathy. It is a basic instinct of protection that goes beyond the words, and it shows the very essence of what it means to take care of it, even without the words or people near you. And you can imagine what happened after that, as this is an act of courage came from an animal so forgotten that could change the whole history of neglect and a lesson in hope and love. Stay with me, because this story has a lot of details on exciting to be revealed. And the one who comes in the following, we will show that when the heart is true and no one is alone, not even one little one, which for a moment he seemed to be lost forever. And then, as the story unfolds, it is impossible not to be moved by the power of a simple gesture, but loaded with meaning, with a grateful heart. Those little actions, it is often overlooked in the hectic routine, they have the potential to reignite hope, not only in the life of the animal, but it's also in the U.S., impacting our ability to see beyond the surface and to recognize the beauty of what exists for those who often go unnoticed. And when you think about all of this, I want to invite you to participate in a more active part of this community that is growing each and every story shared. If this story has touched your heart in some way, leave us a comment to what you had touched him, or the experience that you have had to reinforce this message of hope and solidarity. Your opinion is very important, and it helps to build up a network of empathy that enhances each and every one of these stories. In addition to sharing her feelings, enjoy the video so that more people can have fun with this love and courage. And if you want to continue with these stories that warm the heart, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any news, and to help to spread this message of hope to the world. Your being here is what makes this channel grow, and to reach more people with this kind of content. Let's go together to turn small stocks into big changes, because deep down, each and every one of us has the power to make a difference in someone's life. This story, like so many others, it is still far from over. Then, continue on to me, because a lot of emotions that are yet to come. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation starts exactly at the point of mind. A lot of people believe that significant changes are happening all of a sudden. You just have to want too much, or to make an effort to achieve long-lasting results. But the truth is hidden. The one that you just saw in the behind the curtains for the success is that the journey is made up of small, daily decisions. The choices, which seem to be simple, but they have accumulated over time. They create a huge impact on our mindset and our way of looking at life. Imagine for a moment that every decision we make is like a seed. Some of the seeds will germinate very quickly, while others take a longer time to show off the fruits of it. But what really stands out is the consistency with which you tossed it in these seeds that we take care of them. When we talk about transformation, and we're not just talking about the results to be visible, how do you win on a new career path or to lose weight, but to an inner transformation, a change of attitude, change the way in which we perceive the world and ourselves. This is where it comes to the issue of the small actions that often seem insignificant, but they are, in fact, the key pieces of the puzzle together. For example, it is a simple decision to devote 5 minutes of your day to reflect on your goals, or to practice gratitude is genuine. It may seem like a trivial matter, but when you do this frequently, you will start to train your brain to focus on the positive, recognizing the opportunity, even in difficult times. This is a change of mentality. It's like a seed that is to be taken care of with care and attention. It becomes a tree that is strong, resistant to the storms of life. And it is precisely this inner strength that enables us to overcome obstacles, stay focused, and keep on going, even when everything seems to be conspiring against you. And here comes something that many people are not aware of: the impact of the decisions. Subconscious, and those habits are automatic. They've created over the years. These habits will shape our daily lives, our reactions, our emotions, etc. If you feed it negative thoughts, or we surrender to the fear of failure, we are planting the seeds of insecurity, which over time will make it difficult every step of the journey of change. On the other hand, we have cultivated a mindset of growth, hope, and courage. We are strengthening the roots that sustain us in a time of challenge, for giving us all that courage, that extra for you to try, make mistakes, and learn from. Transformation, therefore, is not an isolated event. It is a building on a daily basis. This requires self-knowledge and a sincere from the face of the truths that a lot of times we would prefer to conceal. It is necessary to question our own limiting beliefs, the ones that tell you that you're not able to, or that success is just outside our reach. When we begin to see, in addition to these limitations, it is our vision to expand, and new possibilities arise in front of us as the doors opened slowly, revealing a world of possibilities that were previously hidden in the shadows of our fear. In this way, it is important to remember that every step you take, however small it may seem to you, it's a win-win. Each of the decision-making that is aligned with our values, and each and every effort to improve it a little bit more each and every day, brings us closer to that version of ourselves that we have always dreamed of being. The most fascinating part of it is that, over the course of the journey, we have found that the true beauty of the transformation is the journey itself, in the lessons that it has to offer, and the ability to reinvent yourself, to rediscover each of the next cycle. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is a point that often goes unnoticed. The influence of the environment around us, the people among whom they live, the places they frequented, and the information to which we are exposed, all the way to a kind of ecosystem, which has a direct influence on our decisions. Surround yourself with people who believe in growth and encouraging their dreams, and they share it in a positive frame of mind makes all the difference. Because deep down, we're the sum of our experiences and the stories that we listen to and the words that we have absorbed it without realizing it. And most often, a change in the environment and the company may or may not be the push he needed to bring on a transformation to a more in-depth. On the other hand, to understand the impact on the environment, it also helps us to recognize the patterns that need to be desconstruidos. If you are stuck in a cycle of negativity, of the claims contained in, or auto-sabotageum, maybe it's time to make conscious choices to move away from those influences. This does not mean to abandon the people who are important, or whether to shut out the world, but to create healthy boundaries, to select the best of the information that we eat, and to seek references that is on the rise, and that we inspire them to be better versions of ourselves. This is one of the revelations of the most powerful that I have found over time, that the transformation does not only depend on the effort of the individual, but it is also an enabling environment for economic growth. And then, when you make that conscious effort to change the environment, strengthen the mind, and growing daily actions that fuel our dreams, we begin to realize realized that our true strength lies in consistency. This is the persistence to keep the focus on you. Even in the face of these difficulties, we have built a strong foundation for a lasting change. With each small victory, we'll strengthen our trust in you, and with each obstacle overcome, to teach us something about our own abilities. And so, their journey becomes a journey of discovery, of revelation, inmates who are going to shaping our identity in a way that no one can take away from us. In the end, this is more in-depth understanding of what the change is a continuous process that enables us to face our challenges with courage, knowing that every step, however small it may seem, this is part of a long history of development. And this is exactly the story that we want to continue to write, with the hope, determination, and the belief that the impact of the decision is positive. It echoes far beyond what we could ever imagine. And then, as you walk by in this way, it is the feeling that, in some way, we are contributing to a world that is more conscious, more lightweight, and more real. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the journey of transformation that we are living for. It goes far beyond that of external actions, or the words that we exchanged. It is deep-rooted in our experiences, the ability to change our way of thinking, and thus, to open up space for new possibilities that may become a reality. It is at this point that we begin to realize that each and every decision, however small it may seem, bears the impact, invisible, almost as many as the waves travel across the ocean, touching places that not even imagine. When we choose to act with authenticity and are aligned with our deepest values, we are actually giving a new meaning to our history and, as a consequence, to influence the environment around us. The transformation does not come out of nowhere. It is born out of a conscious decision to look into the inside, to get to know who you really are beyond the masks we wear on a day-to-day. Many of the times, it's quiet, almost a whisper that comes from the bottom of my heart. But this is where it all starts, and it requires courage because a lot of times we have to face the truths that are hidden and those aspects of ourselves that we would prefer to ignore it or hide it. But it is in this conflict that we find true freedom, one that allows us to rebuild a new narrative, one that is based on honesty and acceptance of who we really are. Over the course of history, we find that the impact of our decision-making, positive, is not limited to our own unique way. It reverberates and the influence of the environment and inspire others to also seek their own truth. It is a chain of small actions that, when added together, creates a sort of domino effect, is able to trigger a far-reaching changes in society. And in this scenario, the key to success is consistency. This is not to make a one-time radical and expect miraculous results, but rather to cultivate a mindset of continuous growth, where in each step, however small it may seem, it is an opportunity to grow and contribute in a way that is more conscious. On that day, the behind the scenes of our own, a transformation, they reveal something surprising. The more aligned we are with our core values the easier it is to cope with obstacles out of the way. The strength that seemed to be insurmountable, it will be a learning opportunity, a call to strengthen our resolve. Because you are, in essence, that is the truth which is hidden by the rear of the long-term success. Persistence and faith in the process, they are some of the ingredients that turn dreams into realities. And, at the same time, these ingredients to nourish a mindset of gratitude, which connects us to the present and helps us to recognize the small wins every day, which is essential for maintaining focus and motivation. This is more in-depth understanding also leads us to reflect on the impact of our actions on our own mental and emotional health. When we live according to our own truths, we've eliminated that feeling of emptiness, of being, of living a life that is not our own. In addition, we have a sense of purpose, of belonging and true, and this in turn influences the way we interact with the world, creating a kind of virtuous cycle where the authenticity and well-being go hand in hand. It is at this point that we realized what the change is. In fact, it is a journey of discovery for the internal considerations of the limitations that we have created for ourselves. ourselves, and the freedom to embrace the things that truly make us feel alive. Now, I want you to go deep into this subject. It is because of this understanding that it is our decisions that shape not only our present, but also for the impact that you leave in the future. It has made us realize the importance of each. An act of courage in each moment of reflection and decision-making to move forward even in the face of the fear. It builds up a bridge that connects to who we are and who we can become. And the bridge is made up of small, everyday actions. The choices are aware of the fact that, to sum up, if you create a reality that is aligned with our dreams, the most authentic. It is at this point that we find the true power of transformation. It is not a one-off event, but an ongoing process, a journey of self-discovery that never ends, because we're always evolving, always striving for a better version of ourselves. With this in mind, it becomes clear that the real change happens when we get it, the way, honestly speaking, to connect our actions to our higher purpose, one that gives meaning to all that we do. And in doing so, we are agents of transformation, a more comprehensive, going beyond the individual, that is touching lives, inspiring stories, and helping to build a world that is more conscious, more lightweight, and more real. This one day, in spite of the challenging, it's also packed with stunning revelations, because it teaches us the power to change lives within each and every one of us, the courage to make a decision for a new direction, the strength to continue even when it seems tough. And in the process, we have found that the greater the victory, the freedom to be who we truly are, without masks, without fear, with confidence in each step, it's worth it. And so, as we continue to navigate this journey of self-discovery, and the impact it is the feeling of building something long-lasting, with a heritage of authenticity and courage that, in a way, it makes all the difference in the world. And when you think about all of this, it's impossible not to feel a desire to move forward, deeper into our own truths, and to share the journey with anyone who is also looking for a real transformation. After all, that's the beauty of it all, a connection that we created for our purpose and the impact we can create just by being true to our own stories. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen on the surface. It touches on the very essence of our daily decisions. Oftentimes, people just let yourself go by the fast pace of everyday life, by the expectations of the outside, or even by the fear of looking at what really needs to be changed. But when you stop to think honestly, we note that the biggest obstacle that is within us, in our way of thinking and how we view our own shortcomings. This is where it comes to the understanding that every decision we make, however small it may seem to you, it's for a brick in the building on our history of success or failure. And it's this journey of self-discovery often reveal hidden truths that not even imagined existed, as if we were finding their inner universe full of possibilities yet to be explored. To deepen your experience of the universe is built, we begin to understand that true transformation is about having the courage to face what's hiding behind the fear, doubt, or confusion. It's like opening a door that was always closed off, revealing an area of limitless potential. In this case, the impact of our own choices. It becomes clear that each decision to act, to change, to let go of something that no longer serves, makes for a trend that go beyond the individual. It is a ripple effect of influence that reverberates in the lives of those around us, in the way in which we relate to our ability to inspire and lead by example. In the end, the journey is not only to meet the goals of the foreign, but also about transforming the way we think, feel, and live with authenticity. For this reason, it is crucial to understand that the journey of transformation is non-linear. It has its ups and downs, their discoveries and revelations. And then, many times, the greatest life lessons come just in moments of discomfort, which is where we are invited to question everything they believe to be true. It is at this moment that you realize that change doesn't happen from one minute to the next, but rather as an ongoing process of self-creation, the reconstruction of a new story. With each step taken with intention, each of conscious choice, it leads us to the next level of understanding of who we really are and how much of an impact we want to leave you out in the world. So our real strength comes just such a deep connection with our inner selves, A force is that which pushes us forward even in the face of adversity. And it is precisely at this point that we begin to realize that the truth is hidden, often, is in our own story of resilience and overcoming obstacles. Each victory, each of the decision-making that is aligned to your purpose, to reinforce the path that we have chosen to follow. And in doing so, we are to understand that the biggest impact we can make is the one who is born of inner change and the genuine, which is reflected in the way we act, and as a result, the lives of the people around you. Because deep down, it all comes down to having the courage to be true to ourselves, to admit our vulnerability, and to embrace the process of change, hope, and determination. And so, the journey becomes a constant quest for authenticity and a chance to reconnect with what really matters to you, diving deeper and deeper into the heart of our own truth. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that a lot of people are their biggest barriers. The courage to be true to yourself, it's not something that rises in the day from the night, and it is being built slowly by making small decisions every day that will in shaping our way of thinking, and therefore our actions. It is a journey of self-discovery, which requires patience, but it's also a provision of the deal that many times we would prefer to conceal or ignore them. After all, to assume that our vulnerability is an act of courage to be that challenging our comfort zone, the more revealing the aspects of ourselves that we are, the more it hurts. It will also evolve. In the process, and the fact it hides many of the times, it is in the way we think about fear, doubt, failure, or even our own self-doubt. These are the elements that, if they are facing with honesty, and they end up turning into the barriers, invisible, preventing the growth of the real. But when we look inward, and to admit what they feel, without the masks, or the reasons we started to open up space for a real transformation, it is at this point that our internal narrative is starting to change, becoming more passionate, more intimate, and therefore, the impact of the change in the echo in the way that we make decisions on our response to the challenges, and the ability to resist the external pressures that try to make us stray from the path that is actually chosen. On the day of authenticity, it also shows behind the scenes that often remain hidden even to ourselves. These scenes are the limiting beliefs, the patterns, are inherited, and the expectations that have built up over the years, and that, without realizing it, you end up casting choices. When we begin to unravel the layers, we see that a large part of what keeps us from moving forward is rooted in one's own mind. And it was just such a revelation that leads to a transformation, to a more in-depth. We have found that true freedom is to take control of our universe is built, you accept our imperfections, and, even then, to move forward with renewed hope. This revelation often comes with a sense of relief, as if a heavy burden lifted from his shoulders. But it also brings with it a responsibility to continue to be honest with you, not to go back to the mask, to cultivate a mindset which appreciates the constantly evolving. Because when you do that, you start to realize that our choices are no longer the impulses of the moment, and you turn in the steps of the conscious and moving towards a life that is aligned with our values and authentic. It's a move that requires courage, but also have a strong faith in our ability to change. Well, we understand that every transformation begins from the inside to the outside, and that every little action of honesty with yourself is a seed that, with time, it blooms on a journey of true fulfillment. And then, when we dive deep in this world within, we will also learn about the impact our choices have on our history. Every decision you make with the authenticity and construct a narrative, the more real, more in tune with who you really are. In the process, we realized that the biggest challenge is not only to address the vulnerabilities, but also to keep alive the hope that, if we are true to our essence, we can turn any obstacle into an opportunity for growth. After all, that's the beauty of it, and discover our own personal truth. It gives us the strength to move forward, even when everything seems to be uncertain or difficult. It is a journey of courage, which, once begun, will never allow us to get back to a state of ignorance or confusion that often holds us in a rut of the surface. So, when you open up this space for openness, we can begin to see beyond the surface. Grasping the chance to be there seem to be far away or unattainable. Each step in this direction, it is a statement of the change. It's possible that the impact of the choices we make reverberates in our lives in a way that only someone who is willing to be true can try out. This is a journey of self-discovery and of evolution. rebellion. It's a dance-off between accepting of who we are of the truth and at the same time allowing us to grow. And in it, the new revelations come to you with new possibilities open to you, and all of the things that seemed impossible just becomes a matter of decision, deciding to be true, then decide to move on, you decide to change them. He comments that it makes no sense to me. When we begin to understand that our transformation depends above all of our decision-making, it changes everything in perspective. It's not about waiting for an external change, a kind of magic that go to change our reality, but to understand that the power has always been in our hands, in the courage to pick and choose what we believe, what we value, and particularly those we choose to be. This awareness leads us on a journey of inner and where every action, every thought, every small decision to build a new pattern, a new version of ourselves. And in the process, the truth, the hidden, is revealed. A lot of times, we were the biggest obstacles in our lives, trapped in the stories that we have created or believed to be absolute truths. The real transformation begins when we take on that responsibility. It's like all of a sudden we see in a mirror, and you realize that all that is stopping us from moving forward is in fact in all of us. It is not something that is external. It is not the outside world that defines our limits, but by our own beliefs, our fears, our expectations are grounded. To unveil the layers, we can begin to understand that the freedom to change lies in our ability to decide to leave behind what no longer serves us. And in doing so, the impact of such a decision leads to is a lot, because it is the very first step to a revolution in the domestic reverberations throughout the journey. But this is a journey of self-discovery, is not a straight line. It is full of twists and turns, detours, the moments of doubt and to the back. And this is where comes the importance of a mentality that is resilient, in an attitude of openness to learning from each experience. For each challenge, no matter how hard it may seem, it is an opportunity in disguise for us to strengthen, to fortify our belief in our ability to overcome obstacles. And at the same time, it is an invitation for you to delve more deeply into our lives and discover the layers that you might never have we explored if we didn't have the courage to face up to the truth that is hidden. By the back of our actions are automatic and our deepest emotions. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth of it, is that the understanding of this interplay is the most important step, but it involves a shift in mindset that many people are still reluctant to accept it. We need to realize that it's really transformed our lives. It's not just what we do, but what we decide to believe about ourselves. This paradigm shift is the one that separates those who just want a transformation on the surface of a person who lives in a revolution in the interior. It is true. As we come to understand that our choices shape our reality, and it all becomes clear, each is like a seed planted in the soil of our lives, and it's up to us to decide if we want to cultivate a collection of self-reliance, peace, and purpose, or, if you prefer, to continue to nurture doubts, fears, and limitations are self-imposed. And at this point, it is worth noting that this is a journey of self-discovery, also reveals the impact that our actions have not only our own lives, but in the world around us. Every decision that we make reverberates in addition to the U.S., the influence of the environment, the people around us, and even for the generations to come. Because of this, they understand the power of our choices is an important step for those who really want to have a positive impact to their own history and the history of one who is by your side. After all, that's the true transformation doesn't just happen on a personal level. As it expands, it is defiled, it is inspired by, and in it, the courage to be true to yourself is the one that makes all the difference. Because the only way we were able to create a reality in alignment with the core of who we care. All of this brings us to a crucial point: the importance of being aware of the behind the scenes of our minds and in our hearts. Many times, we get so caught up in our routines, and the routines are automatic, that we do not even realize the influence of the silent, of the limiting thoughts or emotions for us to undermine. It is as if we are stuck in a kind of theater where we operate with the characters which we believe to be true, even if they are preventing us from living in the freedom that you have been searching for. To take the next step in this journey of transformation, it is essential to learn to recognize that these roots, internal to question his origins, and, particularly, to replace the old standard with the new ones that are in harmony with who we truly want to become. To do this, you start to realize that the change is not not something that is far, far away, unreachable, or reserved for the few. It is a decision, a daily, one each moment is a chance to rewrite our history from a whole new perspective. And then, when you connect with that truth, we have created a solid foundation for the evolution of true that is not dependent on external circumstances, but on our commitment to the built-ins for our own truth. Thus, each and every step taken in this direction, it strengthens our self-confidence and deepen our understanding of who we are, of the leading architects of our own lives, able to reprogram the beliefs and turn the dreams into reality. And this is where it all starts to fall into place. When we understand what the change is, first of all, the decision to take action, to believe, to be more than we are, everything gets a whole new light. The day-to-day, it makes a finding of constant on a journey of self-discovery that will only end when you decide that it's over. And while this decision is not enough, the universe conspires in favor of the one who has the courage to take this path, revealing the secrets which are open to the behind the scenes of our souls. We often remain hidden out of fear or laziness to look into the case. And that realization is what gives meaning to each and every step, every choice, every moment of the courage to be true to yourself. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation starts exactly at the point at which we decide to open our eyes to things that have always been there, hidden beneath the layers of insecurity, doubt, and often with a great deal of strength to do that which is most real. When we first started to explore this journey of self-discovery, we realized that all the answers that you seek are out there, but in the U.S., often hidden by the thoughts of both, or for an account that has been imposed on the course of the year. And it is precisely at that moment that our way of thinking and begin to be put to the test, because it changes the way we see the world, other people, and ourselves requires courage, which is not always present at the beginning of this journey. For the transformation we seek is not just a change in the surface, it is a real revolution in the homeland, of a breach of the standards you hold us to a hook of the automatic actions. It is as if, behind every decision we make, there's a kind of a scenario, the hidden, the fact that he insists on hiding behind the fear, to face up to the very core. And a lot of the time, this strength is further fueled by the kind of comfort that's disguised as a feeling of insecurity, a zone of stability which prevents us to take the decisive step towards a life more in tune with who you really are. At this point, the idea that all of this internal struggle is a part of a process of growth, it is essential, because the only way we were able to take that next step with clarity and conviction. Behind the scenes of this journey, they reveal something that you just perceive you as soon as possible. That is, the choices we make, however small they may seem, have an enormous power to have an impact in our history. Every decision, every silence, every act of courage is a very important part in the construction of the self. And the more we go deeper in the understanding, the more we realize that true change doesn't depend on external factors, but from an inner transformation, which is reflected in the way we think about life and our own limitations. With this revelation, many times to be silent, it helps us to understand that the bigger issue is not with the outside world, but their own beliefs that we have about what we can and cannot achieve. As we move forward in the process, we have discovered that the fear of not being accepted and not live up to expectations or even fail, it is often what prevents us to take more steps forward. And then there comes a question you start to make a difference, how we can turn those fears into allies. How can we, in fact, to how vulnerable we are as a springboard for a change? These questions lead us to reflect on the impact of what we believe to be true and understand that it is, in essence, a lot of these hidden truths are the builds that we can dismantle and rebuild it in a way that strengthens rather than limiting it. It's all in the guts to confront those truths and to face what scares us in front of you, knowing that this confrontation is what really sets us free. When we allow ourselves to look within and without the fear, we can begin to understand that the choices we make, no matter how difficult it may seem, they are a gateway to a life more fully and in alignment with our purpose. This is a journey of self-discovery that is not linear. It is a roller coaster ride of thrills, discovery, and the small everyday victories, which together will create a deep and lasting transformation. And in doing so, we find that the impact of such a change does a lot more than we are, playing also for the people around you and inspire them to also seek out the truth truth hidden, and while doing so, our story continues to unfold. As each step is taken in this way, it reveals a new layer of ourselves and new revelations that drive us forward. Always be aware of the fact that the real power lies in the courage to be who you really are, to take over our shortcomings and embrace the journey with all of authenticity as possible. Every decision, every reflection, every moment of silence is an opportunity for growth, a chance to change our narrative. And so we are very attentive to the subtleties of life, knowing that it really doesn't matter. It's a true connection with something that beats inside of us. And that connection is the key to a transformation which goes beyond time and space. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the real journey of transformation, is exactly the thing that a lot of times we are not able to see as soon as possible, with our own internal limits. It is in this space that is quiet, where the voices of fear and doubt tend to hearken back to you with more power, and that is where the greatest opportunity for growth. Every strength that you have found, there is a seed of potential waiting to blossom. It is enough that we know how to listen to it with attention and courage. And it's exactly what the listener and reveals the hidden truth at the bottom of our hearts. And for those who often prefer to ignore it for fear of confronting reality, when you dive into the process of self-discovery, we realize that our everyday decisions are a lot more than mere choices or time-sensitive. They make up the structure of who we are becoming. Every little decision-making, whether it's related to what we eat, what we think, or how we react to those difficulties, it builds up on the tile for our transformation. And on the back of this narrative, there is a truth to hide that very few are able to realize, that the real change happens when we realize that we are the primary authors of our own destiny. Don't just wait for something external to change it, but to take responsibility for each and every step that we take in ourselves. Along the way, we also found that authenticity is a vital bridge to the transformation. When we stop trying to please others or to fit into our lives, in a way pre-established, we can begin to live in accordance with what really touches the inside of us. The freedom to be who we are. The truth is that it's a powerful impact because it breaks down the current thinking is limited, that a lot of times we hold to the standards of behavior that they do not represent us anymore. This is the time to release the magic of your progress happens when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and honest, to open up the space for the essence to be manifested, without the masks or face masks for protection. But of course, the path is not straightforward. It is made up of the ups and downs of the revelations and the moments of doubt that in depth, and a lot of times, it is exactly in those moments of crisis in which we find the greatest lessons. It seems contradictory, but that is a pain, which is often found in the larger push for the change. After all, when we face our fears head-on, they will lose their power, and that it was an obstacle becomes an opportunity to reconnect with our inner power and strength. This one is a beauty on a journey of transformation. It is true that she is challenging us to go above and beyond what we thought possible, revealing the potential that was always there, hidden beneath the layers of insecurities and limitations. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that understanding these dynamics requires a heightened perception about the behind the scenes of the mind and of the heart. There is a fact that is often overlooked, that the outside is a faithful mirror of what happens on the inside. If you're stuck in the limiting thoughts, the emotions, or the mindset of scarcity, and the impact of this is reflected in our lives in ways that seem to be inescapable. But at the same time, this is a golden opportunity, as it shows us exactly where we need to take action to bring about a true change. Not if you just want something a little different, but you should understand that the transformation is in the way that we interpret our own story, the story that we tell to ourselves every day. On this journey of self-transformation and the practice of mindfulness and awareness, and becomes an ally to powerful. When we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we've created a space of freedom where we can choose our responses to a whole new level. This is where the magic happens, because we understand that we are the creators of our own reality and not merely a victim of circumstances. This change in perspective is what truly distinguishes between those who remain on the surface of life and those who are able to dive into the depths of the self and discovering a world of possibilities that until then will not be seen. As we we move ever closer to this understanding, it becomes more and more apparent that the real transformation is not a final destination, but a continuous journey of self-discovery and evolution. Each phase of the learning process in preparation for the next, and the one that seemed to be an obstacle for yesterday, you can turn on the ladder that takes us to a new level of self-awareness. In this case, the impact of our actions and decision-making increases, influencing not only our lives, but also the environment around us. After all, when we align our actions with our deepest truth, everything around us reflects the authenticity, creating a synchronicity that once seemed impossible. And it is precisely at this point that the connection with the purpose for which it becomes of fundamental importance. When you find the thing that really motivates us and gives us direction, it all gets a whole new dimension of impact. In our effort to stop being a forced effort, and flows in a natural way, almost as if it were lined with a greater force that drives us. This tune is the one that makes it possible to transform, to become a solid experience, and a journey of self-discovery that is never-ending, always revealing new layers of the potential and of the truth. And then, in a movement that seemed to be far away or out of reach, it becomes a tangible reality. An achievement of day-to-day is born of your courage to look within and to opt in to our very core with respect and love. He comments that it makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this subject because it is this harmony that we have mentioned. It is not something that happens by chance or in the form of the surface. It is born out of a conscious decision to connect with the things that really matter, of lining up your actions, your thoughts, and the feelings and emotions with the most authentic. It's like you're adjusting a frequency of the internal fine-tuning, which enables you to everything around you if you speak in a more harmonious, more in line with who you really are. And in the process, we often find that what seemed to be a barrier to a limitation, in fact, it was an opportunity in disguise, a chance to learn something new about yourself. This is the journey of the transformation is non-linear. It is full of ups and downs, the moments of clarity and intense questions that seem to pull us back. But it makes a world of difference. It is the courage to focus on the fact that the pulse is within you, even when the outside world tries to convince us of the contrary. This is a continuous movement of the auto-questionamento and the acceptance of the revelations of the deepest place. Because sometimes the thing that is hidden in our subconscious mind and the standards that we have and the limiting beliefs that have built up over the years, it has come to the fore when we are disposed to look with honesty and courage. And it's this honesty that seems simple. It is one of the most important tools of transformation in which you can have. When we allow ourselves to see our own shadow and to understand the reasons that lead us to act in certain ways, we can begin to break down the things that stop us from moving forward. It's as if you were cleaning a lens, blurry, and all of a sudden, everything becomes clearer and sharper. From there, your choices are no longer the impulses of the moment, and if you make choices that are aligned with our essence, is closer to the truth. And so, our day-to-day becomes an expression of authenticity and the courage to be who you truly are, without masks or with false expectations. On the other hand, the connection with the truth hidden inside of us, it also reveals a broader impact on our lives. Because when we know each other deeply, we come to a better understanding of the people around us and the situations that the U.S. would take it, and the obstacles that seem insurmountable. It's all part of the big puzzle of the transformation. Each piece reveals a new layer of potential. It's as if we're breaking down the behind the scenes of our own stories, discover the power of changing it is not outside, but within us, in our willingness to face up to the truth, as difficult as it might sound. And in that discovery, when it is made with love and respect for the journey, it becomes an overwhelming urge to move on. A motivation is that it was born of the certainty that we are on the right track, even when all the results are yet to be seen, or when your challenges seem larger than our own strength. Because, deep down, we know that the impact of the transformation that happens in our minds. In our minds, the way we see the world and ourselves. This impact, in turn, influences each and every decision, every relationship, every step we take in the direction of our dreams, more of ourselves. The essence of this type of connection, then, it is precisely this ability to transform any questions on the knowledge of the converting fears into the courage to make the vulnerability of a power source. And in doing so, we open up space for new possibilities to emerge. Chance seemed to be unreachable, but it has now become apparent, which are close to becoming a reality. All of this of course, requires an amount of patience, persistence, and a provision of learning more about you, even if I have to question it, to reinvent it. Because at the end of the day, this is a journey of self-discovery does not have an endpoint. It is continuously evolving, and a dance-off between who we are and who we can be and who we are still waiting to be discovered. And it is in this movement that we find the true essence of the long-term impact that we want to generate in our lives and in the lives of those around us. A change that not only the surface, but one that echoes in our decision-making more, the simple and the big steps that we take toward the future. And it all starts with the courage to look within, with a desire to understand our own history, and with a determination to rewrite the chapters that are yet to be written. And in doing so, you begin to realize that the truth is hidden within each and every one of us, is a never-failing source of strength, inspiration, and opportunities that await him just on the decision to be discovered. He comments that it makes no sense to me, and if you've come this far, it's because I identify with the journey of self-discovery and transformation. It is at this point that you realize just how much each and every step, however small it may seem to you, it makes all the difference in the construction of who we are and what we want for the future. I hope that this talk has been some discussion or even just a little bit of peace to your day. If you found this content helpful, we invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here, as always, try to deliver something that can help you to get a better understanding of yourself, how to overcome the challenges, and then more lightly on the planet. After all, it is the exchange of experiences and learning. This is the one that makes it all the more important, isn't it? And if you like it, leave a comment saying, "I'm with you till the end," or "It was me," because it shows that we were able to reach out to you in some way. And of course, a like on the video, it helps keep this space active and full of good energy. The connection that we build right here is exactly what you will feel welcomed, respected, understood, and inspired us to move forward. Now, if you are enjoying the chat room here, since it is an invitation to watch the next video, but it has a lot to do with this topic and can help you further deepen the journey. There's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject. You can click and keeps me there. And until the next time, with more of the conversations that make no sense to anyone who wants to grow and get to know you better.